welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to try and answer a viewer question, and that viewer question was, if you have a few different things to eat at the same time, for example meatloaf, corn and asparagus, do you eat all of one food, then go on to the next, or do you switch between foods? So the answer to that really depends on what it is I'm eating. Certainly when I was younger, I had a strategy of eating the nicest part of the meal first, and then eating the least appetising part last. So for example, when I was served codfish in breadcrumbs, I would eat the fish first and the breadcrumb last, because the breadcrumb was the nicest bit. I would not eat the fish in one piece. So I wouldn't put a fork in it and eat it, the breadcrumbs and the fish. I'd always kind of deconstruct it and eat each bit separately. Or I would eat the vegetables first and the pie second, because I prefer the pie. If I was given a cream egg, not that I had those that often growing up because my parents are very strict, but whenever I was given one, I was usually given one by my grandmother, who was quite liberal with her distribution of sweets and things, much to my mum's chagrin, because my mum really did not like us having too many sweets, but it was a special occasion for myself and my brother. I would make a small hole in the top of the egg and suck all the fondant out before eating the chocolate. Quite a sight if you saw me. I usually ate them when we went on our very long country walks. I remember during our Easter holidays, when we were usually on holiday somewhere out in the countryside, we stayed in self-catering, and my parents would drag my brother and I on these long country walks, which I absolutely hated at the time. Like, what kid really wants to be dragged on a long country walk by their parents? But having one of these chocolate cream eggs was some consolation. But yes, I sucked all the fondant out first before I would proceed to eating the chocolate. I don't like cream eggs anymore though, because I find them too sickly these days. Do any of you like cream eggs? And if you do like them, how do you eat yours? These days I have a great affinity for bowl food, or food that is blended or mixed together, and basically food that is easy to eat. I don't like food that's overly faffy or difficult to eat, because it's quite overwhelming. If you see it on a plate, you're like, what do I eat first? So I do quite like food that's kind of blended together, and I think that's why I love soup and porridge. They're easy to eat, they're not overwhelming in terms of trying to decide what to eat first. Growing up, it is the case that I never combined food on a plate, right? Something my dad often commented on, preferring to eat the individual food items on their own. These days I still prefer to eat like that. That's kind of my natural way of eating, although I am not quite so extreme as I used to be, so I will eat, say, I might eat a bit of potato and a little bit of pie together. But I still generally tend to eat one on its own. And if I was having a pie, I'd deconstruct it, so I'd kind of break it apart and kind of scrape the filling out and eat the pastry instead of eating it all together. I do that with pretty much everything. Yeah. But so I still am inclined, I would say, generally, to work my way from the least preferred to the preferred item. Also, I've always been a very slow eater, probably because I tend to eat each food in turn. It obviously slows you down. Another example, when I used to be served lamb curry, I would eat the chunks of lamb separately before eating the rice with the sauce. So I didn't mind eating the rice with the sauce so much. Although actually, having said that, I did sometimes kind of separate the two. It depended how I was feeling on a day. But I wouldn't eat the lamb with it. I'd always eat the lamb separately. I like to savour the lamb on its own. And as a little girl, I did not like my food to touch at all. I think that's just a phase I went through, because, I think I did outgrow it, obviously. But there was a time when I didn't like, when I was about sort of like 3, 4, that sort of age, when I didn't like my food to touch at all, only wanting, for example, sausages by themselves and beans by themselves. So they're fine by themselves, but I didn't like them touching. So people might sometimes put like sausages on a fork with beans. I'm like, no, because I didn't like them like that. They had to be separate. But on another note, it's interesting how tastes evolve, actually, even for a foodie like myself, who's obsessed with food and loves food. Obviously my tastes have evolved, And there were many things that I love now that I hated as a child, and vice versa, of course. So I used to hate rice as a child. I really don't know why I hated rice. I mean, it's the most innocuous food, it's bland, why would I hate it? But at one point in time I hated rice, and the only way I could eat it would be, and this is absolutely disgusting, there's no way I could do this now, was to mix it with mayonnaise. I mean, that's absolutely disgusting. Yeah, it had to be mixed with mayonnaise in my pink plastic bowl. Very gendered and sexist. I don't know why I had a pink plastic bowl. My parents always said they were gender neutral, and yet I had a pink plastic bowl and my brother had a blue plastic bowl, but there we go. I loved my pink plastic bowl. Yes, I ate most things out of it as a kid. But yeah, rice mixed with mayonnaise, that's the only way I could eat rice as a child. Right, so that's to hopefully answer that question as best I can. I'm now going to move on to a recipe that I've tried lately, just one recipe in this video, which is... where is it? Here it is. It was. Garlicky mushroom penne. Now this serves two, it came from BBC Good Food, so I'll put the link down below, but obviously I had to halve it because it was just for one. It's involved, I used half a can of chickpeas, some lemon juice, a garlic clove, a little bit of stock, a teaspoon of tahini, ground sesame seed paste, a little bit of ground coriander, wholemeal penne pasta, a little bit of oil, half a red onion sliced, a handful of mushrooms roughly chopped, and a generous handful of chopped parsley. So what you do is you're basically making homemade hummus. So to make a hummus, you tip half a can of chickpeas with about half a can of liquid into a blender, and then you add about half a tablespoon of lemon juice, some garlic and stock, a teaspoon of tahini and a small amount of ground coriander. You blitz that, but you want to still retain some texture from the chickpeas. You cook the pasta. Meanwhile, you heat a small amount of oil in a large frying pan. I use my new frying pan because recently I've got a really good new frying pan that's really big with a fitted glass lid, which I'm really pleased with. It's great for making pilavs and pilau, biryani and other rice dishes, but whenever I'm cooking a meal that has quite a few ingredients in it that need a lot of space to fry, I'll use my new big frying pan. It's fantastic. I got it from Lakeland. Yeah, so you heat your oil in a large frying pan, and then you add halved and sliced red onion and roughly chopped mushrooms, and then you stir frequently until softened and starting to caramelise. So I would say at least 10 minutes on that one, so you want to get them nice and soft. And then you toss everything together, the hummus, the pasta, the mushroom mixture. You squeeze over the juice of half a lemon, or a quarter of a lemon I use for one person, and then you scatter with the chopped parsley. Now there is something I want to tell you about this recipe that's very important. The recipe says to add raw garlic to the blender when you're making a hummus. My advice to you, unless you really love raw garlic, is don't do it. It is really painful, trust me. Cook the garlic or blanch it with the pasta before blitzing, or suffer. I learnt this to my detriment when I did this recipe, because I followed the recipe exact and I forgot that raw garlic is pain. I guess I have had raw garlic before, and it's not a pleasant experience. It burns your tongue. It's like eating very strong horseradish. No, don't go there. Yes, the thing is, it's just overpowering. It like infuses the whole dish with this garlic. All you could taste is the garlic. I couldn't eat it all it's just one clove of garlic as well. It must have been a particularly potent one. I've since learnt via some good advice on Twitter from one of the people who follow me on there, so thanks for that. You can get milder forms of garlic that are better for using raw, but I don't think I'm going to risk that again. I think it's always best to cook garlic for these things, I find. You only need to blanch it for, a couple of minutes, but it takes away the potency, so you're left with a subtle hint of garlic, which is what you need in a dish like this, because, hummus isn't supposed to taste strongly of garlic. You just want a subtle hint. I also, by the way, added a bit of olive oil to the hummus. It's not in the recipe, but I did think a bit of olive oil made it nicer. So there you have it, that's the recipe. I'll put the link down below. Okay, so I'm now going to move on to video number 2, where I'm going to be talking about a bad experience I had recently in a shop. So moving on to video number 2 now.